it is rivalry week, boom. And we thought, man, why would we not come with a list of the top 5 best college football rivalries? And here's what I want to say, kind of the criteria. And we talked about this a little bit. Obviously, it needs to be somewhat bitter. You want the bitter rivalries, but the ones that are competitive right now, and we've seen in the past be competitive. So it's not like one thing, like the most hated rivals, like the top 5 most hated. It's kind of a amalgamations, a word I like to use at least once a week to make people think I'm smart, of coming together to see which one of the best ones. So let's go ahead and pull yours up. I want to see what yours is. Okay, here we go. Okay, we got a little difference in the back, and I like this. So you have the Iron Bowl first. Obviously correct. That's 100% correct. It's 100% correct, David. It's 100%. You got Michigan, Ohio State second, which is also 100% correct. And Boomer, you went 3 for 3 in my opinion. All right, you got Texas and Oklahoma third, the Red River Shootout. That's what I call it.
Shootout, yes.
Yep, and then at fourth, you got Clemson, South Carolina, which, Clemson's dominated that recently, but that is a very bitter rivalry. I think some people don't realize.
It's a 365-day-a-year rivalry.
Yep, then you got bitter. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, number 5. Just go through kind of the superlatives of this and why you had them there.
Yeah, so I've 5, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl. I mean, regardless of how good either team is, it's always just fun to watch. Those schools hate each other. So a little bit with Clemson, South Carolina. Those 2 rivalries, I feel like, regardless of how good the teams are, it's always just a fun game. I mean, I was at the, I think it was the 2006 Clemson, South Carolina game when both teams were like 5-5 playing for a bowl game, and that brawl happened. It was one of the biggest brawls I've ever seen. It was wild. I mean, they hate each other. Then
they tried to stomp each other out.
Yeah, it was brutal, man. But like the top 3, I feel like I put the top 3. They're the best rivalries in college football. Maybe not the most bitter, but it seems like these 3, there's always like national championship, there's always something big on the line for these rivalries. I mean, OU, Texas, usually both teams are very good. Michigan, Ohio State, it's like, it seems like every year they're playing for the Big Ten East championship. I mean, I think that Michigan State is more bitter than Michigan, Ohio State, but Michigan, Ohio State's the best rivalry because both teams are always very good. And then Alabama, Auburn, it's the spectacle of college football. I mean, it's one of the games, if you're not a fan of college football, you watch it just because of just the pageant. I feel like that game captures the pageantry of college football just because of how great a rivalry it is. And it doesn't matter how good Alabama is. Auburn seems to always give Alabama a tough time. It's a great rivalry.
Colin, what are your thoughts on his list before we do ours?
No, I like your list. One of the questions I have, obviously Texas, Oklahoma, the Red River Shootout, we had it in the same place as you. And you'll see our list here in a second where we put Georgia, Florida in there. Now, cross-state rivalries versus intrastate rivalries. Look, they're great rivalries of all sorts, right? One question I have for you, though, is do you think a rivalry can still be elite if it's not played the last game of the year, like Texas, Oklahoma, and like Florida, Georgia?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, the OU Texas, it's the first weekend of October every year. I mean, it's basically like Michigan, Ohio State, just at earlier part of the year. I mean, have you guys been down to Dallas before for the Cotton Bowl?
I have not.
My wife went this year, though.
It's something you got to experience because it's this Cotton Bowl is in the State Fair of Texas while the State Fair is going on. I mean, it's incredible. The field split 50-50. It's different to me than because I've been to Georgia, Florida as well. Georgia, Florida feels more like a bowl game to me, whereas this feels more like, it's a true rivalry. Even though it's in a neutral stadium, but it doesn't matter what time of year that game's played. These OU and Texas absolutely hate each other.
I tend to agree with you because, you don't want every single great rivalry game to be played on the same Saturday where you can't watch them all. It is nice to spread them out through the year. At the same time, mentally, for me, it is always so cool when you end the season with your greatest rivalry. So on the Oklahoma side of that and the Texas side, really, and Florida, Florida, Georgia, Oklahoma State, is that not even considered a bigger rivalry? Or when you look at Florida State rather than Florida, Georgia, like that's part of it to me. It's not necessarily those games are played earlier in the season. It's that then you still have another team late during rivalry week that still matters a lot too. What's your opinion on that?
Well, do you see like behind me, I've got like Oklahoma State.
I did see that.
Stuff. Yeah. So my wife went to Oklahoma State.
Ooh.
And it's just not. Oklahoma State. OU has dominated that rivalry. It's like they've won 91 out of 117 times. It's just not as great of a rivalry as OU Texas. I feel like OU. I'm trying to think of an in-state rival. Michigan State. I know Michigan doesn't view them as their biggest rival, but Michigan State views Michigan as their biggest rival. But it is absolutely bitter. Shoot, I pull for Oklahoma State when they're not playing OU. It's not bitter. It's more of a, and maybe Oklahoma State fans hate OU, but just as an OU guy, I don't hate Oklahoma State. I hate Texas. But I have no really hard feelings to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
All right. So our list, we were exactly like you for the first three: Alabama, Auburn, the Iron Bowl; Michigan versus Ohio State, the game, or the second game, as I call it; Texas and Oklahoma at number 3. Then we went Army, Navy at 4.
Have to.
If you go back, this is one that has withstood the test of time. Are Army or Navy going to win the national championship? No, but if Russia wants to come, mess around and find out, these are the guys that we're going to send. But it's the pageantry, and it's just everything that goes along with the game. And you talk about bitterness. I think this is one of the most heated rivalries inside because, look, again, these are some of the most competitive people on the planet. You're competitive enough where you're ready to strap it up and go to war if you got to at any point in time. But the pageantry overall, and then Georgia, Florida, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Because typically, especially now that we've seen this rise by Georgia, remember, it was Florida that was winning big, and Georgia was kind of a thorn in their side a little bit. And now that Florida's kind of trying to reload with Billy Napier and trying to get this new era pushed in, while Kirby Smart tries to become the new era, at least of the SEC East, which there was a stat the other day, Boom, and I think I have the numbers a little bit off, but Kirby Smart started 8-5 in his first year at Georgia, so went 7-5 and won a bowl game. Since then, he's like 69-8. Or something like that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But that is a very heated rivalry. I don't think people realize how much hatred there is between Georgia, Florida. That's why I never thought Georgia, Florida line was going to work out as a band. But you see what I know.
Do you like?
Yeah, no. The Army Navy, the Army Navy game. I feel like that's like above the rest of these rivalries. It really is.
It just means so much more. It to me.
What do you not much more than
okay, go ahead. You want to make this take? You go ahead, run with it, bud.
I love that it's played last.
Don't be mad when a tomahawk
after all the other games
hits your apartment.
I got to produce a video in West Point for when Army was preparing for Navy, and they had this they built this ship outside that was broken in half, and they lit it on fire.
That's crazy. So sick. I tell you what, the coolest game when I was coaching in South Alabama that we ever went on the road and played, it wasn't at San Diego State, it wasn't at Tennessee, it's when we went up, this is when Keenan Reynolds was playing for Navy. We went up to Annapolis, we stayed in Baltimore the night before, and it was so crazy because we played them, I think it was at 3 o'clock, but it was overcast, and there was a mist over the field, and you see the way they come in, dressed in their things, and just how orderly everything is and how cool the stadium is and the things that go outside, and you just feel... It feels elevated. It feels like the intensity is up a little bit. You're expected. It's like one of those things where your parents don't have to tell you to be on your best behavior. Hey, you're at your older brother's wedding. I'm going to tell you to be on your best. It's like that in the air. You feel like you have to be on. And we're South Alabama. We're over there, and they're going. All the players are going nuts and stuff. And we're over there just straight laced or whatever.
Yeah. I think the Army Navy game, the rivalry, is really cool. Until the game starts, and then it's just two teams who run the triple option.
Well, again,
I'm like, wow, this is just super boring.
I don't know. I disagree with that because, again, they want to win it so bad. By the way, colonels and majors and generals, that's him, not us.
That's me. Yeah. You ever?
Speaking of the IRS,
I appreciate the triple option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like
It's coming back.
No, it's not.
So,
Like,
so
no,
Boomer,
it's not.
Boomer, let's get to the Booster Club here.
Yeah, Travis Elrod wants to know, Boomer, will Texas versus Texas A&M make the list when Texas comes into the SEC?
Yeah, they better. I mean, Texas should play Texas A&M this Saturday every single year. And it seems like both teams keep trying to dodge wanting to play each other. Like when Texas is in the SEC, that game better happen every single year.
I'm with you.
All right, what's your? Where do you rank the USC Notre Dame rivalry?
I mean, not even top 25.
Really?
I mean, I mean, it's.
Tell them, Boom.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I guess this year, I mean, it's all right. It's just, I mean, Notre Dame's all the way in, Indiana and out in California. I don't think that's a big rivalry. Sure, it's a cool game with two big brands, but there's no pure hatred between those fans.
Yeah, I think it was cool in the 60s or in the whenever back in the day. To me, that's not one that jumps out. I think more of USC UCLA.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I love the USC Notre Dame rivalry. I love they play every year. I love they go out there. But when we were talking about it, again, it's to the point that I asked you, Boomer, which is how can you say that that's their greatest rivalry when a lot of USC fans hate UCLA even more? That's a bigger rivalry to a large portion of the school. So that's what makes it tough for me.
Yeah, Boomer, real quick, winner of Michigan, Ohio State. Who do you got?
If Blake Corum plays, Michigan. Going Michigan. It's supposed to rain in Columbus, so I'm going Big Blue.
Uh-oh. Look,
Go
that
Blue.
just got cone gas.
I don't know whether or not that should worry me or not.
All right,
Sorry.
Go ahead. USC Notre Dame. Who do you got?
USC. Caleb
Oregon-
Williams, too much.
Yep. Oregon State, Civil War. Who do you got? Underrated rivalry there.
Civil War, Oregon State.
Ooh,
I
I
like the
like that.
Beavs.
I like
the
that.
Beavs.
Auburn
Beavs
got
are
a
tough. They're
Auburn,
tough at
Alabama.
Auburn got a shot.
home. Auburn always has a shot in that game, but
point.
we'll see.
Maybe
Bama's not that good this. Bama's not that good this year, and they're still a top 10 team.
Maybe Cadillac will strap up and try and get a few yards. He's done it before in the Iron Bowl.
I can't wait, when Michigan goes down 7-0 after the first drive for the Big Game Boomer tweet that Michigan's the most overrated team in the country.
It feels like a blowout for Michigan, I'm going to be honest.
Thanks, Blaine.
That's funny.
We'll see.
All right, Boomer, we're going to have that Instagram collab with our list later. It's always good to have you on, my friend. Have a great Thanksgiving. Tell everybody we said hello and excited to talk to you next week.
Absolutely, you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I'm sure we'll be talking this week with all these games.
Too, man.
Definitely. Hey, everybody, appreciate you checking us out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on, and hit that like button as well. We're growing like a weed, and we don't want to stop. You guys are the best. Keep loving it.